Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and deciding you're simply not going back to sleep. At first, nothing dramatic happens. You're tired, your eyes feel heavy, maybe you drink another coffee. But as the hours pass, different parts of your brain begin failing, and they don't all fail at the same time. Your attention disappears before your strength, your judgment collapses before you realize anything is wrong, and eventually, your brain may start showing you things that aren't actually there. So let's keep snack awake for 72 hours and see what breaks first. This is a research-based simulation, not something you should attempt. Snack wakes up at 7 in the morning after a normal night of sleep. For the first 16 hours, he feels mostly normal. His brain is being held awake by its internal clock, a roughly 24-hour system that helps control when he feels alert and when he feels sleepy. But another system has been quietly working against him. From the moment Snack woke up, pressure to sleep began building. One chemical involved is adenosine. It accumulates while we're awake and contributes to that increasingly heavy feeling of sleepiness. Caffeine can temporarily block some adenosine receptors, but it doesn't erase the pressure underneath. By midnight, Snack has been awake for 17 hours. His reaction speed is slowing. His attention is becoming less reliable. He's more emotional, easier to irritate, and worse at evaluating risks. The dangerous part is that Snack may still feel capable. Sleep-deprived people do not always recognize how badly their performance has declined. He thinks he's just tired. His brain is already becoming unreliable. At 7 the next morning, Snack reaches 24 hours without sleep. Now the first major system has clearly broken: sustained attention. Snack can still speak, walk, and perform familiar actions, but his ability to remain consistently focused has deteriorated. He can stare directly at something and briefly stop processing it. These failures are called attentional lapses. Some can develop into microsleeps, short, involuntary episodes in which parts of the brain enter a sleep-like state. Snack's eyes might stay open. He may not even know it happened, but for a few seconds, he can fail to respond to what is in front of him. That is enough time to miss a traffic light, drift into another lane, or make a dangerous mistake at work. The CDC cites research comparing 24 hours awake with performance impairment similar to a blood alcohol concentration of roughly 0.10%. That doesn't mean sleep deprivation and alcohol affect the brain identically. It means the performance loss can become comparable and dangerously significant. Yet, Snack may feel a temporary burst of energy when morning arrives. His body clock is pushing him toward wakefulness again. The sleep debt is still there. It has only become easier to ignore. During the second day, Snack's performance becomes increasingly unstable. He might answer one question perfectly and completely miss the next. That inconsistency matters. A severely tired brain does not simply become uniformly slower. It begins switching unpredictably between periods of functioning and failure. Memory also becomes unreliable. Without sleep, Snack struggles to absorb new details, hold information in his mind, and retrieve it accurately. His emotions become harder to regulate. Small problems feel larger. Neutral comments can feel hostile. Decisions become more impulsive. Snack may also experience depersonalization, the unsettling feeling of being disconnected from himself, or lose track of how much time has passed. Around this period, visual perception may begin changing. Stationary objects can appear to move. Lights may seem unusually bright. Shapes in the edge of his vision may briefly resemble people or animals. His eyes are receiving information. His exhausted brain is beginning to interpret it incorrectly. At 48 hours, Snack has missed 2 complete nights. Now, wakefulness has become a constant fight against involuntary sleep. His coordination is deteriorating. His speech may become less precise. Following a complicated conversation becomes difficult. Even simple decisions require more effort. Snack may repeatedly lose track of what he was doing, walk into a room and forget why, read the same sentence several times, begin one task, drift into another, and leave both unfinished. The microsleeps may become more frequent. Research suggests that local groups of neurons can show sleep-like activity while the person appears awake. That produces a disturbing possibility. Snack can be awake and partially offline. Perceptual distortions may now become more convincing. A jacket hanging on a chair becomes a person. A shadow moves even when nothing is there. Something seems to crawl across the floor and disappears when he looks directly at it. His brain hates incomplete information. Under extreme sleep deprivation, those predictions can become wrong. Snack isn't merely getting sleepy anymore. His model of reality is becoming less dependable. After 3 nights without sleep, the boundary between dreaming and waking can begin to blur. A systematic review found that perceptual distortions often began within 24 to 48 hours. More complex hallucinations and disordered thinking were reported after roughly 48 to 90 hours. But this is not an exact countdown. People respond differently. For Snack, the room no longer feels completely real. He hears his name when nobody spoke. Patterns on the wall form faces. A shadow becomes a person standing in the corner. His thoughts become difficult to organize. He may become suspicious or construct explanations for things that never happened. At this stage, extreme sleep deprivation can resemble acute psychosis or delirium. Snack's body is exhausted, but the most frightening failure is happening inside his perception. His brain is no longer just struggling to react to reality. It's struggling to determine what reality is. So, what broke first? It wasn't Snack's heart. It wasn't his ability to walk, and it wasn't the hallucinations. The first important failure was attention. Before the dramatic symptoms appeared, Snack lost the ability to remain consistently connected to the world around him. Then something even more dangerous weakened, his ability to judge his own impairment. He became worse at thinking, but was not always aware of how much worse he had become. That combination makes sleep deprivation dangerous long before someone begins seeing things. A microsleep behind the wheel can be catastrophic. A bad decision made with complete confidence can be worse than feeling obviously exhausted. The hallucinations make the story frightening, but the quiet failures that happen first are the ones most likely to hurt someone. Fortunately, many symptoms caused by acute sleep deprivation improve after proper recovery sleep, although recovery is not always immediate or identical for everyone. Snack finally gets into bed. Within minutes, the room disappears. But here's the unsettling part. Every night, you voluntarily surrender consciousness for hours. And if you refuse to do it for long enough, your brain eventually begins taking pieces of it anyway. So tonight, when your body tells you it's time to sleep, maybe listen.